So this is going to be a music store. The music store is going to have albums. The albums are going to belong to a genre and also are going to be, by an artist. So these are the three main, um, conceptually, you can think of them as tables that we would be using in our code. So from the .NET side of it, these are going to be our classes. We want to create a class called genre. We want to create a class called artist, and we want to create an album class that references the genre and the artist. So these are the three classes we are going to be creating. The details of it are in your book, but I'm going to be providing you with the files so we can make it much easier. So I have it on my local folder. I'm going to bring it in, but you can download from my lessons those three files. Okay, so let me bring those files in here. So these three files I'm going to bring in. I'm copying them to my model. Model folder is empty, so I'm copying to my solution the three files that I need. Well, you can still see it here because it is just some file that exists in the folder. It does not belong to the solution. So you have to right click and say add. So now they show up in your solution. Let's look at these first. So there's something really important that you have to note. If you have not named the solution the way I have named it, you have to change the namespace here. Mine's called MVC Music Store Application. So if you have a different name here, that's going to cause problems because the namespaces, there's a hierarchy here, right? The solution name, that's the namespace. And then you have the folder, that's the model. So that is where we are saying the genre class will exist under that specific area. Okay. You don't have to worry about that. I just had made some modifications before I recorded this video, and I just wanted to go back to how it used to be before. Okay, so this is my genre class. This is my artist class, and this is going to be my album class. If you see the album class, it references genre object and also artist object because see, an album belongs to a genre and is done by an artist, so that's the reason why. So this is called as aggregation, right? So we have the album class aggregating the genre and artist class. So the next step for us is you can actually imagine that there is an album table, an artist table, and a genre table. And these would be the columns that exist in that table, right? The album table will have these as columns, except we have not created any of the database. We have not even gone near, SQL Server. We have not done anything related to that. So all we have done is we have added three new CS file, just a class, okay, that has the definition of how we want our table to look like. That is all we have done. So let's go to controllers. We just have the one controller, the home controller. We are going to say, oh, one more thing. Before that, let me also add one more change. So what I want you to do is, this is also a part of your application. So you can download from the lesson this one also as part of the files. So what I want to take is from the content folder, images and site.cs. So I'm going to copy it over to my application here. Content. I want to put the images folder here. And and replace the site.css. So this is because I want to have a different look and feel, and I don't want you all to be wasting your time doing that. So let's take the site.cs. It has certain changes very specific to the music store. And then there are some images here that we'll be referencing. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the content folder. Again, see, anytime there's a new item, we actually have to add it. Oh, another way to add it is to drag the images folder under the content, right? You can do the same thing with the site CSS file. I think we already overwrote it. It's not going to apply now. Okay. So there are some images here that we'll be using later, and then we have the entire CSS modified. So if you see some code here, see they have like specific styles for album list, cart, and all that stuff. Okay, so step 1 was to create a blank project and run that project and make sure that you can reach the home controller. Step 2 was to create 3 model files, which I am providing anyways in the lesson. This is going to be the structure of how your objects will be that make up your music store. Step 3 is to copy the content images folder and site.css that will also be part of your lessons. Okay, so let's go to our controller, say, oh, let's build it. This is a very important step. What we are trying to do is we are trying to like bind a controller to a model. In order for us to be able to do that and to have scaffolding happen, these have to be available to the solution, and it's not available till you do a build. So you have to do a build so the album, artist, and genre are recognized by our application for scaffolding purposes. Let's go to controller, say add controller. We were using this empty controller before. Now we are going to use MVC controller with views using entity framework. So it's asking us for what model class we should tie this to. I'm going to choose here. If this doesn't show up here, it means you have not built your solution. So go back and build your solution. Say album. Data context class. Data context class. So this is to know the model and the data context are different, right? The model is the .NET object class. Data context is from the model how the database connection is established by the entity framework. So let's choose, say add, and then here is where we are going to give a name, and this is also very important as to how you name it, and you have to remember how you did that. I'm gonna like have a suffix called db and no application. So MVC music store db. Okay, you add that. So we are tying the model to the data class, data context class, and then the name of mine is going to be called store manager. And this is going to really surprise you because it does a lot of coding by itself. You can see that scaffolding is happening right now. This is where the boilerplate code is being generated for the controller. It's going to create views for us. See, there's a store manager controller. Just take a minute and scroll through it and you can see that it's created a lot of code. Okay, and then if you go to views, under store manager, you can see there is a create, edit, delete, details, edit, index. 5 views are there. Okay, the third thing you want to like open and see is under models, you can see the database, the data context that we gave, that class has been created, the DB context class. So MVC music store db.cs. So what has happened here is when we mentioned that our model is going to be album, it understands that album uses artist and genre. So there are 3 objects that need to be stored in the database.